Good morning. We are thankful for you being here this morning. We're going to get started here in just a moment, looking at worldly media is what we're looking at today. And now here you go, you can actually see me. You think about worldly media, what comes to your mind? I want to try to build our audience just a little bit this morning as we get started. When you think about worldly media, what comes to your mind? What do you think about? We think about magazines and what's in them. We think about television shows and what's in them. We think about movies and what's in them. Movies are getting, it seems, many ways worse and worse. Children's movies especially are getting, it would seem, worse and worse. But let's look at a few things this morning. And I have a little slide here that we're willing to be able to see. And these are some things we will find in worldly media. You will find foul language. You will find crude humor. I think I just misspelled, but crude humor. You'll find drug and alcohol references. You'll find promotion of gambling as well as promotion of drugs and alcohol. And you think about foul language, when you think about crude humor, when you think about drug and alcohol and gambling and all these things being promoted, how would you rate the media that you listen to or that you watch? We know there's a lot of these things in media today. There's not all of these things are in every media. I think probably some of these things are in most of the media in which we watch today. But how would you rate them? For instance, notice this next slide here, and you'll find a similar graph used by a website called Kids in Mind, and they have a slightly different rating for what they're talking about. You'll notice it has sex and nudity, violence and gore, and profanity. And I would highly recommend you visit the website kidsinmind, I believe it's .com. I'll have the link in the comments below later. And it rates all the movies that are out today, and those within recent past anyway. And it rates them on this scale of sex and nudity, violence and gore, and profanity. And also we'll talk about what, why it gives this rating in each section. And I just plucked this graph here so you could see what I was talking about. But if you use this graph for your media, what would it look like? When we say media, we mean television, movies, things you listen to. How would they rate on this scale? In regards to sex and nudity, how would they rate? In regard to violence and gore, what I call the gross stuff, how would it rate on that scale? And profanity or foul language, how would it rate on that scale? So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what kind of media are we watching? What kind of media is entering into our homes? I turn on the radio, and I seldom do turn on the actual FM radio in my car anymore because there's really not that much I want to listen to. And so a lot of it is talk radio for a short period of time. But we do listen to the music on the radio. It's got a lot to do with sex, alcohol. Country songs were known for a while kind of as a joke that it's about someone's ex-wife fishing, drinking on their dog. And it hasn't changed that much. But I want you to notice a few verses with me in Romans chapter 1. In Romans chapter 1, in verse 22, the Bible says, professing to be wise, they became fools. This happens when we think that we know what is best, when we know what is right. He goes on to say there in verse 23 of Romans 1, and change the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things. And if we think about this idea, they were darkened. The Bible says they changed the glory of the incorruptible God to the image of corruptible man.
You know, there in Exodus 32 with Aaron and the Moab and all those people there, they made their God in an image. They worshiping what was created instead of worshiping the Creator. And so let us think about this as we consider our media, and we think about how this affects us. And maybe it's time for you to reconsider your media. And these are just a few thoughts from me, and hope you'll join me again next time here on Sitting Down with Moose.